So for our foot assessment, we'll be checking in with 4 key aspects of foot function, which includes our toe splay, our toe extension, our midfoot mobility, as well as our plantar flexion strength. So we'll go through each of those now. Our toe splay is basically how wide or how spread our toes are. The widest point of the foot should actually be at the toes, and this is very important for balance and arch function. So if you just take a couple of steps on the spot, look down at your feet and take note of whether your toes or whether the widest part of your foot is at your toes. Take note of if there's gaps between each of your toes or if there's gaps between some toes and not others. Take note of whether your big toe points straight forward like that or if it's pointing in towards the other toes. And you can also try and actively splay your toes as wide as possible. So that would just be by lifting all your toes up and then just spreading them out as far as you can. And just note what the difference is between your passive toe splay and your active toe splay. Next up is our toe extension. So this is a very important movement, again for your arch function, but also for efficiency in movement with walking and running. So a simple way to assess this is just standing on the side like so, one foot in front of the other. You bring the heel of the back foot up as far as you can, and you want to take note of the angle that you're able to achieve, keeping the ball of your foot on the ground. So try not to lift that up like that. So ball of the foot stays on the ground, and you take note of how far you can move in that direction and also how comfortable you feel in that position. If you've got a soulmate, then you can also do a similar thing here, but you can isolate your toes. So you can have just the big toe on the soulmate like that and the little toes down, and you can do the same thing. Or similarly, you can have the little toes on the soulmate and the big toe down, and you can see the difference in comfort between your big toe and your little toes. So all of this is just giving you a really good indication of how well your toes can move in that extension movement. Next up, we have our midfoot mobility. So this is referring to how well we can pronate and how well we can supinate our foot. So you can either do it one leg at a time or both legs at once. We'll just start with one leg at a time. Basically, we'll start with my right leg. So trying to bring this knee in towards the other knee and then out away from my body. So that is essentially hip internal rotation and hip external rotation. Now, if you try and keep the ball of your big toe and your big toe on the ground throughout, what we're looking for here is how much does your arch or does your foot flatten into the ground and how much does it lift. And if I show you from the side, how much does the arch lift? So what many of you will find, or what you may find, is that as you externally rotate like this, then the ball and your big toe lift off the ground like that. You may also find, if you've got sort of high rigid arches, that you have trouble flattening down into the ground like so. So either of those is just an indication that you need more midfoot mobility, and that will help with, again, efficiency in lots of different movement patterns, but especially walking and running. Last up is our plantar flexion strength. So plantar flexion is this movement of the ankle where my sort of toes are pointing down away from the rest of the body. And where that movement is very important is, again, walking and running, where we have to push off the ground with power and efficiency. So your plantar flexion strength, especially on one leg, is a very important aspect of that. So to start off, just get used to it going on 2 legs, standing up onto your toes as far as you can, like a basic calf raise, from the side, up onto your toes as far as you can. Now we want to really test out your single leg, but obviously you want to check that you can do a double leg calf raise first. If you can, then you can find a wall for balance or a stick or anything like that. And then you want to come up onto one foot as far as you can into a single leg calf raise. So from the side, and what you're checking for there is, first of all, how far you can move up in that movement, which is related to your strength, and also how comfortable you feel in that movement, which most of which is related to your toe extension mobility. So just take note of all of those assessments, how comfortable you feel, how strong you feel, how stable you feel. And we also recommend taking videos of each one so that you can check in regularly every week or so as you start to include more foot training into your daily routine.